Hey, what's up guys, DiplexHeated here again. Welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2 and RobZ Realism mod, of course. We are back here on another map made by Pershing. It is time for the Battle of Narva that took place in 1944. This was historically a huge defeat for the Soviets. Super excited to see how they will do today attacking this German line defense. We have a pretty nice line up here on one side of the river. It is the one and only line on this side of the river. We've got some Panzer IVs. I do believe this is a Panzer IV-J, and this back here is a Panzer IV-G. Yes, correct. We've also got some 75mm packs, infantry, machine guns. There's even a half-track here, but that one's not being used. A mortar team is crewing it back there. We also have a river with one bridge, but it's shallow enough for the tanks and infantry to cross, I do believe. But on the other hand, or on the other side rather, we do have a pretty nasty greeting for the Soviets. We've got some pretty good trenches, not crowded with infantry, but that is probably due to a lack of manpower in this area right now. So they'll have to spread them out to get a better combat with. We've got another 75mm pack, sandbags, mortars, machine guns, and what we've got here, we've got an 88mm flak in a very nice flak trench here. So that's going to be nice. Further back, we've got more half-tracks. We've got some Vespas, self-propelled gun, 105mm to be exact. So that's pretty good. Two on that side, and I do believe I spot another one back here. Mortars, another pretty big trench with another flak 88, few half-tracks, and that is about it. So the Russians will be coming at them pretty hard, or Soviets to be more historically accurate. And yes, without further ado, let's hit that start button, and let's get straight into the battle. Well, you can hear the tanks back there. I just love the sound of Russian tanks. Especially that, that kind of motor revving sound. To me, it sounds different than many other tanks. They're coming in with a full assault right now. Infantry and armor in the open. So Narva, the Battle of Narva in 1944 lasted for a good time, from February to August. And the Russians took so many casualties during this time, at least in comparison to the Germans defending the Estonian river there. It went on for a very long time. Eventually, it didn't give the Germans a victory on the Eastern Front, but it did do some serious damage. And it definitely halted the Russian assault, or the Soviet assault in northern Europe there, near the Baltics. We also have some Lend-Lease half-tracks coming in. I do believe these were the Lend-Lease half-tracks. The American Lend-Lease ones, I do believe. It's an M3A1, I do think. Could be an M5A1, but it's probably an M3. Let's check that out. It is indeed an M5A1. Good to know, good to know. Well, so far the Soviet tanks have been running into some serious issues here. They have knocked out the Panzer IV-J on this side. And I do believe we've missed a few of the half-tracks hiding around the bushes here. So here's another one with a... is this the 37mm? It's the 20mm, so substantially smaller. Won't do much against the Russian armor, but the infantry will have a hard time dealing with this one. So historically, we're looking at a German win here. We didn't get a German win in the previous video, which featured the Tobruk line defense. The Allies actually managed to hold, surprisingly enough. Another wave is coming in. More T-34, 85s, and half-track and infantry. They need to focus on the left flank now, where they've just actually managed to destroy the Panzer IV-G defending here. The mortar team has been smoked as well, and this half-track is gone. Infantry having a hard time holding, but there's a few brave Germans up here that's doing their best. And there's a lot of machine gun fire from those advancing tanks and infantry as well. There's really no chance of holding this side. I think the Germans will have to give up the idea of holding this side of the river. Very nice trench though, nicely arced in sort of a half moon. Oh damn. Nice rocket. Very nice. Panzerschreck. This thing could definitely do some damage to the Russian assault. This KV-80... No, this is an IS-1. This IS-1 has come to a bit of a halt. There's a few early war tanks here, like the 1940 KV-1 and KV-1S that I keep spotting. Do we have any KV-85s? No, this is the KV-1 mod 1940. I do believe I spotted a KV-1S as well. There it is. No, that's an IS-1, so that's the IS-1. I suppose we've just got the KV-1s here. Early war stuff, but of course the Russians would... Any faction would, of course, still use tanks if they had an abundance of trained tank men, but usually the more veteran crews would obviously be put into better tanks, I suppose, as long as the training would be similar. Sometimes you'd have to learn. I mean, you wouldn't take someone who's been in a crew in a Vespa crew or a Hummel crew and then put them in a Tiger or King Tiger unless, you know, unless the role is similar. But otherwise, they're two very different vehicles when it comes to operating. So, but look at this! Oh, this is a beautiful assault. All the armor rolling across like that. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm not gonna... Don't quote me on the whole tank crew thing, but I suppose the more similar tanks would receive a more veteran crew from a prior version of a similar tank, if there were the need for them, or if there was a lack of tank crewmen. Otherwise, you would obviously also train new tank crewmen toward the later stages of the war to then be ready to crew the newer tanks that came out. But there was generally a bigger shortage in the tank crews, experienced tankers, than there were in tanks, than there were in actual usable tanks, I suppose. But in this case, the Russians are going with a slightly, not entirely outdated armored assault, but we do see some 1940 KVs, and I suppose the Germans would use Panzer IIIs later on as well. You know, the more later and advanced and upgraded Panzer IIIs. Although the Panzer IV would more or less instantly take over that side and be more popular. And then we have the Panther. We do consider the Panther and Tiger much superior tanks to the Panzer IV, and that is by all means correct. But realize that they were not meant to be more specialized tanks. Realize that they were just the next in line behind Panzer IV. You know, then came the Panzer V, which was the Panther, and then Panzer VI, which was the Tiger. And that's cool, if you really think about it. So the more time that would have gone, they would have more or less practically replaced the Panzer IV later on, if the war would have gone on for that long. But indeed, they were much superior tanks to the previous versions. So the Germans are taking a lot of losses on this side of the river now, and the flak is finally opening up. We're getting a nice view of this. Can I do something? And this might be considered a little unorthodox, but this tree was in the way, and I mean, honestly, I don't want a tree in the way of a beautiful scenery. I want all the scenery. Oh, this is beautiful. We're gonna watch from this point of view for a while now, and then just get a static idea of how the battle is progressing. Oh, Nebelwerfer. It's nice seeing those rockets rain down over the Russians. Or the Soviets. In more popular tongue, I suppose you would say Russians, but for the historical accuracy, I have tried to get more used to saying Soviets. Wow, there's so many tanks coming over there on the far left side. Right side from the German side, of course. Oh, those are some huge explosions. What the living hell was that? Was that a chain explosion? Tanks usually don't react to, like, chain explosions. That must have been a half track or something. But that was insane, and there's a lot of fire here as well. Seldomly that much caught on fire in a situation, but I guess... Oh, and don't drive through the fires there. to a KV-1 and, or no, an IS-1 and a T-34-85 is setting up a little firing position here on this side of the river. And a few tanks are trying to cross, but so far they've been well, unable to actually get some ground here. This flank is about to be stormed by Russian infantry, though, and that. Oh, Jesus! Oh, crap! This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And there's even more Soviet tanks coming in here. So much infantry. 50 caliber support. I wonder if the Lend-Lease M5A1 would have a Dushka on it instead of the 50 cal, but in this case I suppose not. Damn, or would it come with the armament perhaps already? That would also make sense, I do suppose. Damn. Another Nebelwerfer barrage would be fantastic. I do think they're still loading. Oops. We've also got the Vespers back here opening up. One isn't currently active. I think it's... Did it lose its crew? One man is down here. Can it still fire? It certainly can. It should be able to. Maybe they haven't found a suitable target. He didn't want to seem too willing to open up. Now this is another beautiful view. Just the smoke pillars in the end there. Yeah, these Vespas hitting the half-tracks is like an instant kill, but they're not going to do much against the heavier armor. But infantry and half-tracks and lighter vehicles in general will fall victim of the howitzers being fired back there, the SPGs. Self-propelled guns. So the Russians are finally getting a push over the river now, and now they're actually starting to get pretty close here to the German headquarters. What do they have back here? We've got one more flak. Plenty of half-tracks and infantry, but the infantry is already starting to fall victim here to the assault. So some of these 20 mils and machine guns will be able to deal with the lighter vehicles, but the T-34s and IS-1s they're going to be an issue. Looks like all the KVs have more or less gotten stuck on the other side of the river. Obviously not as combat efficient as the T-34-85 and the IS-1s. If we're lucky, the German soldier here will be able to reload in time. There's a mortar firing. There's a few German soldiers. There's a guy with an MP40 here trying to desperately hold back the Soviets attacking the flak trench. Oh, and he did something to it, but... Oh, and he's going to be shot down. Soviet armor soon about to explode in this German trench line. We'll see sandbags flying everywhere in a matter of seconds now. If it does implode, it might just cook off and then not explode. Depends on if the... Yeah, oh, there's more to it. Oh, Vespa back there just getting destroyed. You can't underestimate armor like this. It's beautiful. All the explosions. You gotta love explosions. And that howitzer direct hit did seem like it shook him up a little bit, but it's probably not going to be enough to take out the tank itself. Oh, but that flak 88 though, it should have its target nailed in here. No, it's swapping target. It missed. It swapped just to miss. Is it because there's just a German soldier in the way? I'll send him to the side. Oh, it missed again. But it's so cool to see all the... Oh, we got a little look there at some of the damage it did. Holy shit! That is beautiful. That is absolutely fantastic. This is, I gotta tell, this mission, or this battle, beats the Tobruk battle by a long shot. And no offense, the other one was great, but this is something else. You gotta have more depth to the map. That one else was very, like, squarish in a way. You know, it was very, like, just one line, more or less, of defense. When there's more and weaker and then substantially stronger as further you go, the more of a depth the battle gets. It gets more of a character. And this one certainly is getting that very character that I spoke about. This headquarters has been hit by a round. Probably killed a few inside as well. But more and more smoke is climbing over the horizon now as the German Flak 88 back here is getting some serious kills under its belt. Let's take a look at the casualties that they have caused. This one's taken out 16 infantrymen and 5 vehicles, but the one we're looking at back here is coming into the 30s and 15s. 30 infantrymen and 15 vehicles in just 1 kill. So if it gets 1 more, it'll be looking at some star status. There we go. That hit the turret. Bye-bye to the KB1 1940 mod here. Or is it? It looked like it went in somewhere. Another one hit a little further below. And the engine's out. Probably killed the crewmen inside too. No one's bailing out, but it probably legitimately just killed all the crewmen. Or it could still be active. Nebelwerfer firing from the flank. We got some infantry back here. Mortarman killed. The Soviet assault has definitely come to a bit of a standstill. They're still trying to advance. But there's some infantry. They did well. They got to the church. And they got to the headquarters. And they're firing at the headquarters. But right now, not one step further. How beautiful. Great map, by the way. Absolutely fantastic map. Nice. Love that. Alright, my friends. Let's see if we can bring up the Russian pride. Do we have the chance? No. Look, just getting hit and hit and hit and hit. So the tracks are on that one. Do we have any other vehicles with tracks on them still? Well, that are actually going to make a difference here. We're looking at a lot of emptied out tanks. It's been a disaster all the way since here, but more so across the river. What a crazy battle. The Russians have probably lost up to 30-40 tanks. No joke. All to the tanks and AT guns. Primarily the flaks, who are responsible. These 2 flaks are responsible for more than 50 vehicle kills. And that is pretty fantastic, if you ask me. He's up at 15 now. Infantry, are we looking at some real infantry stoppers over here? These soldiers all do have a few kills each under their belt. These guys haven't really seen much action. This one here is done a little. This MG's done a little. But do we have any infantrymen who have really gotten serious? No, not any heroic stats. I do believe the mortars and AT guns have done most of the work. That one got 39 men, so this mortar's killed 40 men. What about the Vespas here? 19. Any more serious stats back here? Only 1 on that one. Nebelwerfer not even looking more than the mortars, so the mortars are in the lead. 39 on this one and 39 on this one. So far the mortars have killed here exactly the same amount. Anyway, let's take a look at casualties. We'll do the Germans in red and the Soviets in... Actually, I do prefer the other way around. The Germans in yellow and the Soviets in red. And you can tell that this has been an absolute slaughter. Crazy fight all the way since back here. There's just dead littering the fields. But a bloody fight for both sides. But this represents the Battle of Narva quite nicely. Even though I do think the Soviets did slightly better in this event than they would have if this was more representative of the casualties towards the end of the battle. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon again. Ciao.